We're coming in hot with inspiring guests, witty banter, and colorful commentary for today's veterans and military community. This is the Tango Alpha Lima podcast.
They call me crazy cause I'm facing all my giants. They try to scare me into thinking I can fight it. They tell me I should never even think of trying. But that's just me, I'm gonna live out in defiance.
All right, and welcome back to the Tango Alpha Lima podcast. I am once again not Jeff Daly. I am his
Not
cousin.
Jeff Daly.
I am his cousin, just Daly. Jeff is going to be out. Geez, I'm dropping golf balls and throwing things around my office.
Oh my gosh, this is how the show is starting.
Now you understand why I stick to legal stuff and not podcasting. I might have hurt myself here with the golf ball. Anyway,
you'll
Jeff,
at least know what forms to fill out, right?
Jeff, that's right. So Jeff should be back hopefully shortly. I hope I don't have to fill in too long, but Jeff, we're thinking about you. Ashley, great to see you again.
Always, Mark.
Always.
You are a treat.
We do tend to text quite a bit anyway, so it's not as if
I
really-
know.
yeah,
It's so lovely.
It is.
Legion is where you make lifelong friends. Like you make them in the military and then they just continue to blossom. And then the next thing you know, you've got a friend in every state. And once in a while,
You've got a friend in me.
that's so Toy
Yes,
Story. Look
very-
at you.
yeah.
Oh, so beautiful.
My kids haven't gone into the Toy Story stage yet.
If you were a Toy Story character, who would you be? That's the real question.
I kind of like Buzz. I mean, Woody is too much feelings. Maybe maybe I'm like this slinky dog thing. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it, but next time I watch it, I'm sure I'll overanalyze it and get right back to you on that. But
yeah, if I could, I think it's the fourth Toy Story where Bo Peep is like this rogue, resilient, like rebel. Like that's my version of Bo Peep. Like, that's the character I would channel.
I can see that with you.
Yes.
Very, very much so.
I would be like MacGyvering things in an antique shop and, unifying at a carnival. That's what I would do.
I can see both of those.
Yes.
All right. So we are at the beginning of April here, which, as you well know, is Children and Youth Month at the American Legion. So we're very excited. We obviously we have four platforms, pillars, if you will, of the American Legion. Children and youth being one of them. Without reading through the whole thing, Ashley, what are your favorites of the children and youth portfolio, if you will?
So I really enjoy just in general. So for folks that don't know, so as the American Legion began to take shape in 1919, this anti-democracy movements, they were underway in the United States and they were targeting young people, right? So we've gone over a little bit of the historical context of Americanism and the programs and how, children and youth and all of these things got their footing. So, the American Legion was pretty determined to instill programs and values. So, for example, like supporting of scouting, the establishment of the Child Welfare Foundation and the American Legion Endowment Fund, now known as the Veterans and Children Foundation, which is what we're raising money for the 100 Miles for Hope. The development of youth programs. So that was between schools. That's partnerships with American Legion and other community entities. So like very commonly, we would see Boy Scouts and later on Girl Scouts, to even supporting like local sports teams, things like that, that American Legions individually have taken under their wing in their communities. But additionally, we have the portfolio of scholarships, which today amounts to more than $4 million annually, according to our most recent consolidated post reports. Yeah. So I think what's really impressive about this is that, our National Children and Youth Committee has like the oversight of our temporary financial assistance, the Family Support Network, the Child and Welfare Foundation, and the children's benefits provided through the American Legion Endowment Fund. So those are kind of like, that's my big favorite, if you will, because they catch all that really assists from the local, state, and national level to ensure that like our values and all of our programming is going out and meeting the needs of each individual community. And I think that's something a lot of folks don't realize. Like we have the national umbrella, but our local posts are really driven by what the community's needs are. So we have Children and Youth month for the month of April. It's also, Military Child Month. So all of these things are interconnected. So I guess our Toy Story joke isn't true here. But it's a good tag along, which is also a Girl Scout cookie. So here we go. This is where I'm at, everybody.
I do love me some tag-alongs. I'm not gonna lie, I do love the tag-alongs. Yeah, so some of the obvious, kind of the more high-profile ones, American Legion Baseball is pretty obvious. Oratorical contest, which is coming up here shortly. I'm a judge this year.
Whoa, big time! Moving on up.
Really, really hit the.
Mr.
They asked for volunteers, and my name showed up on it. So, junior shooting sports. Boy Scout, Youth Cadet Law Program, and obviously kind of my favorite, because I get to spend time with your hubby, is Boys State. Love me some Boys State. I'm sure Girl State is equally good, but I haven't been to Girl State. But Boys State, Boys Nation, I prefer Boys State, but to each their own. I prefer Boys State because as a counselor, there is a chance you will get some wild children at Boys State, so I can be Sergeant CV. When you get to Boys Nation, all the kids are way smarter than me and they're all super well behaved. And so then I become the negative influence. So it's like, yeah, we should do that.
That's such a lower enlisted, sergeant, mindset. I can identify with that so much. Once you get to certain level, you're just like, man, these people don't need me.
Yeah. It's
let's have some fun.
I'm supposed to tell these kids how to live their life correctly. Dude, I'm about to hurt myself with a golf ball in my own office. I can help with the Boys State kids. It's the Boys Nation kids they're already leaving me in the dust.
Yeah, I will say I did get asked to do Girl State again this year, but unfortunately with the in-person, I think I might be out of state or out of country depending on that week. So I'm sad because I got to do it virtually, but I know being in person would be wonderful.
Yeah,
and I told them, I said, hey, if it lines up, I'll come in and speak on a platform of service and continued service to inspire them. But I could not be able to be there for the whole week.
Make sure you're back by the time the Virginia Department Convention happens. This guy will be speaking at it. So I did happen. So I don't know how much you know, but I've been helping with, I'm on the media and communications for the Department of Virginia. And I've been helping them redesign some of the things for the convention. So your name may or may not have come up when I was making the brand new branded. I don't know that I even officially told them I would come. Maybe they just assume I'm coming. But I'm coming, of course.
Past National Commander Dan Dillinger reached out to me via email and was like, hey, I need you to add X, Y, and Z to this. Yeah. And then I just saw your name and then it was like, does Rob know? That was the first thing I thought.
Whatever Mr. Dellinger wants, Mr. Dellinger is going to get from this guy. Mr. Dellinger rocks. So if he wants me to come to, and it will be my birthday when we're there, so we will have to.
Oh boy!
Yeah, we'll have a couple.
So many opportunities.
Maybe we'll have a couple more beers, and I'll still be in bed by 4:30.
You'll be singing "It's a Small World" wrapped out.
Yeah, if I start singing "Let It Go" on stage, come and get me. All right. That'll be a problem. All right.
Well, speaking of some cool things, on the same vein of guests and amazing folks that we get to speak to outside of yourself, Mr. CB.
What a great segue. Excellent.
Yes. Thank you. You're very welcome. I have to pay homage to you in your newsy cap.
Yes.
So today, our guest is Jamie Gray Hyder, an actress and a model who has performed voice and motion capture work for the role of Lieutenant Nora Salter in Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, and voice acted for the operator Rose in Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Jamie played Lucia Solano in season 2 of Graceland, the werewolf Danielle in season 5 and 6 of True Blood, and starred as Detective Kat Tammin of Law and Order Special Victims Unit from 2019 and 2021. Jamie's work with the Call of Duty has inspired her to be an advocate for service members and veterans. She has been a speaker at 5 Student Veterans of America National Convention events. She has been the MC where and in which we have all had an opportunity to meet her back in January. And then Jeff and I got to catch up with her a few weeks ago for an interview. And we'll have that interview for you right after this break.
Ding, ding.
Advancing the vision.
Advancing the vision.
The American Legion educates, mentors, and leads new generations of Americans.
We are veterans strengthening America. We are the American Legion.
Well, I am so excited to welcome to the show Jamie Gray Hyder. We talked about you already. We kind of blew you up and raised expectations. So everyone's expecting, Oof. I'm not going to say perfection, but I will say brilliance. So that's what everyone's expecting out of you.
No pressure.
And have you met my friend Ashley?
Hello, Ashley.
Hello, Jamie. Welcome.
Thank you.
And Ashley she always likes to get ahead of me. So she's going to ask the first question again. Here we go.
It's so funny because I literally was like that little pause there was like, I'm going to start. And then I was like, oh, I see Jeff's brain moving. Oh, his lips are moving. There he goes. We're off to the races. So I will get us started, Jamie. So I have to say, I've been to Student Veterans of America conference the past few years. So if I have had the privilege of witnessing you on the main stage as the MC, making stuff happen, you are just so very talented. You've got this amazing resume. You are very iconic and all of the things. That's one of my catchphrases here. We're going to get that on a t-shirt. All of the things. And I'm just incredibly impressed, for you to be a master ceremony, be this advocate for military community. And if I'm not mistaken, you have some military family within your surroundings, right? Friends. You said
yes, I've got lots of friends who have served. My grandfather served, and I grew up in the DC area where so many of my neighbors and everyone I went to school with, either themselves or people in their family, were currently serving or are still currently serving. So I've kind of been around it my whole life.
Excellent. Well, that's fantastic. I love when we have advocates in the corner that are willing to, be an active voice, right? And we all have that ability, and you are the personification of what we need and more people like yourself in our community. And I want to kind of kick off this kind of journey of advocacy because I'm seeing you're involved with the Call of Duty Endowment Fund. You've done a lot of great, appearances on shows and been front runner. Like, you've done some great stuff. And I want to know what led you to military veteran advocacy and how that kind of got started or how you moved into that.
Well, it began for me as really a more kind of strong advocacy position when I was working on Call of Duty. And I sort of became friends with our, the public affairs officer for the Navy who was the Hollywood liaison at the time, and our Navy SEAL advisors and things like that. And the more I talked to them, the more I realized how important my role as a female in this video game was for actual females serving in active duty and for veterans. And when they kind of explained that to me and asked if I'd be interested in doing some outreach, I thought that was such an amazing opportunity. And if I could have a positive impact in any way, I was down. And that was at this point, 8, 9, 10 years ago. And since then, working with SVA is something that's been super important to me. The Call of Duty Endowment, I've been fortunate enough to go to most of the branches at this point and have in-depth looks at what their kind of day-to-day is like. And it's all those experiences for me that really built this grassroots appreciation that I have as a civilian. And it's kind of helped me find ways to be impactful as a civilian, which is something we kind of feel powerless about a lot of the time.
Wow. Well, I understand that. As someone who's been a Legion member for going on 9 years, I've done a lot of community work with our external partners and just having those conversations. And you'd be shocked that like a lot of people do feel like disenfranchised or they feel like they can't make a difference. And it's nice to know that there are folks like yourself out there who are willing to say like, hey, yeah, I'm gonna do this awesome thing. And let's just be really clear. Like, you're the first female lead for like Call of Duty. Like, that's a big deal. And as I kind of dabble in some of the video games, but I know my husband's a huge fan. Like I was like, oh, guess what I'm interviewing? He goes, wait a minute. That's the gal. I was like, yeah, that's the gal who is the first female lead in Call of Duty. He goes, no way. So he's gonna be super excited when he listens to this episode.
Hi, Ashley's husband.
Yeah, he's gonna be so excited. Yes. Rob is gonna be thrilled. But that's such a unique like way to get started, right? Because like what I found in many situations is that you're either connected to the service member, right? But to have that be like the stepping stone and then launch you into Student Veterans of America and other advocacy work. So from the endowment fund and then just this extension, like what else have you kind of found yourself getting involved with in the community?
Well, I've gotten to do a couple of really cool things that I don't think a lot of civilians will get to experience. I've gotten to do an embark on an aircraft carrier. I flew in a C2 Greyhound 200 miles off the coast of Mexico, landed on an aircraft carrier, did a trap landing, stayed for a couple of nights, kind of got to observe all the operations. And then I got to speak with and hang out with a lot of the different service members who were there. And that was very exciting, very fun. But most recently, I got to go up in an F-16 with a Thunderbird pilot, and I got to do the entire 1 hour Thunderbird program. I hit 9 Gs. I got to pull my own maneuvers. I was scared shitless, but I kind of said at the time when I felt nervous, I was like, this has to be 1/1,000,000th of the anxiety that our service members feel before they go to do something like this, when people are also going to be shooting at you or trying to hurt you in some other fashion. So I just had to put on my big girl panties and suck it up. And I'm really glad I did, because it was an absolutely incredible experience.
Wow. So just for the record, you've been in more aircrafts than I have been in my military career of 8 years. Like everybody's experienced different. I think that's fantastic that you got to firsthand witness like some of the stress, the anxiety, some of the things that a lot of people don't get to. But it's so impressive, right? So okay. I'm gonna toss over to Jeff because I know I can see the angst in his face. He's I got these questions burning.
I have so many though. So we do a thing on our show we call rapid fire. So you don't have to give long pontifications on these because I have some observations. Number one, I don't think big girl panties is the phrase, isn't pants, but pants. Like I couldn't get away. No, you can't. Like I couldn't get away with saying that. So you visited all the
big boy panties, sure.
Big boy panties.
I mean, they are better than. Well, I mean, they are dependable.
Dependables. All right. So you have a favorite branch since you visited them all, and I'm not going to try to influence you at all or anything. But I don't know if you can see the thing. No, you can't see that. I'll put this one on here for a second. Do you have a favorite branch, by the way?
Never in a million years.
Never?
Never would I set myself up like that. Nope, because every time I visit a base or anything from here on out, I would never hear the end of it.
Oh, I think you're vastly optimistic about the reach of our show. But and
recently the Air Force has been an amazing experience for me.
Okay.
I got to go to the Office of Special Investigations, and I got to do the Thunderbird flight. So that's newest in my brain, but I will never choose a favorite child.
All right, and I'm gonna kind of go with what Ashley said. Don't think that you're doing things civilians just haven't done. I have never been in an F-16. I've never fixed wing landed on a carrier. I've in the Marines we use helicopters, and that's how we get around. So I've landed with helicopters. So you have quite the experience doing that stuff, and I'm assuming that adds some reality to your performances, like especially on the Call of Duty.
What it added for me is a sense of urgency to get it right. Like you always hope that you're doing it as best to your ability, and those experiences absolutely influence how I would portray somebody who's active duty or a veteran. But at the same time, it adds not necessarily always more information, but a sense of urgency, because now I have people with faces and names that I feel like I have to honor. You know, it's not just the general idea of I'm in the Navy, you know, it's like, but you know, think about this individual and that individual and the person you cooked with when you were on the aircraft carrier, you know, and think about it's more, it feels more personal. So it's almost like it adds a sense of urgency and a little bit more weight. It absolutely adds to the fodder of what you get to choose from when you're building a character, but it also kind of adds a little bit more pressure almost, but in a good way.
Well, you know, it's important, you know, to have that background and to do the performances that you do. But real quick, I have just another observation. Are you more recognized for Call of Duty or being Cat? On
More people
Law and Order.
have stopped me as Cat.
Yeah.
But there's something funny about the Call of Duty fans and other video game fans when they'll hear me before they'll see me. I'll be at a bar and I'll like reach over somebody to order, or I'll like speak over somebody. About back when you were 2 or 3 deep in a bar, I would, you know, speak over someone to order my drink, and you would just see someone kind of make a face and look, and they'd look at me and they'd hear my voice. And I'd realize, you know, that people started to say they could hear me because a lot of times I'm talking to you over comms in the game. So for a lot of people, it was like this weird moment to all of a sudden hear Salter over their shoulder, like talking to somebody else. So I probably have gotten recognized more for Cat because I don't know if the video game always translates visually, but it's funny when someone does recognize me from the game because it's usually just vocally.
All right. So let's try to, I want to hone in a little bit. We've talked about how awesome you are and all the awesome things that make you awesome. Jamie Gray Hyder.
I'm coming on this podcast every day.
I'm gonna call her by her full name now because I have that much respect for Jamie Gray Hyder. I don't know if you knew that, Jamie Gray Hyder. So if we look at, so I don't know if you even know this. Did you know that you were eligible to be in the Auxiliary of the American Legion?
I did not know that.
And honoring your grandfather's service. So there you go.
Interesting.
So all these things that you do with the Legion, you could be a part of us in the family.
Like officially.
Wow,
I did not know that.
Yeah, that was, and we have, and Holly, super producer, knows some great ones in New York. So yeah,
I would love to know. I would love to look into that.
You could be part of the fam. And I'd also point out that this is my first time at Student Veterans of America this past year, and I didn't get to see your live presence there, but I'm hoping that we go back and maybe you'll be back there again and we can meet you in the Tango Alpha Lima booth. That would be awesome. And I
mean, as long as I don't do anything really stupid between now and then, I think they're going to continue to ask me back. So
we would ask you back even if you did something stupid. And as a matter of fact, it might enhance your chances because I do things stupid all the time. And Ashley, as you can see from her wrist, is trying to catch up with me. This snowboarding incident.
Oof.
She said
hey,
oof.
At least you tried.
I did. You know, I'm a proud owner of a plate and 10 screws. You know, it's you know, just, you know, close to becoming bionic woman. My entire right side, just like.
I'm glad you're okay. Besides all of the metal parts.
All of the metal parts.
All
right.
of the metal.
So it's you do the work. I'm going to be an actor geek for a second. And I don't know if I'm on the West Coast. I'm on the military committee for SAG-AFTRA. I guess we have to say AFTRA now. And also communications, but nobody cares about that. It's which I feel like for New York, that might be a good thing for you as well to be on the.
Yes.
They're not all veterans on the military affairs committee.
Okay, I didn't even know that SAG had that. You're teaching me so many other ways that I can also pass on to other people for somebody wants to be involved. I love this.
I love to give people more work to do. That's just a thing that I love. So
more opportunities to help.
More opportunities to help. So I had a question that dealt with all that, but I sometimes get lost and then meander back into it. So we talked about what makes Jamie Gray Hyder, and now I want to know kind of what's the future of Jamie Gray Hyder, and how is she going to keep spreading the Jamie Gray Hyder awesomosity throughout the world? And yes, I do make up my own words.
I appreciate that. Well, as far as acting stuff goes, it's kind of fly by the seat of your pants. You're auditioning all the time, not really sure what's going to stick. You're just throwing things at the wall. I have a lot of ideas of my own that I'm developing, some different culture and food shows, possibly. I actually would love to work on something military related eventually, kind of a day in the life of each branch, where I essentially share my experiences with other civilians who don't have the access that I do, in order to try and build a better and more well-equipped landing pad for all of our service members and veterans, to have a little more of a cushy civilian population that can speak to you on your terms a little bit better. I'd love to do a project like that. So that's something else that I've got on one of the burners. I'm just sort of taking whatever comes. I'd love to get into directing a little bit. I'm not, focused on one thing right now. I'm sort of dipping in a bunch, and then we'll see what happens.
Nice. Ashley, I know you got to follow up there. I mean, we talked about, as you would say, all the things.
We really have. Yes. I'm just kind of in awe because I was thinking about this, and I actually have a photo of us together at 2019 SVA. I was thinking about it.
I was going to say from the beginning that you look familiar to me, and then I didn't want to sound crazy. And then when you mentioned that you go to SVA as well, I was like, okay.
Yeah, I tend to now. Every time we go to Orlando, I kind of wear my mini ears everywhere I go. It's been good, but yeah, I was thinking about it, and I was like, I think I do have a picture with you, which is kind of really cool, because I'm now, who would have thought several years later I'd be getting an opportunity to interview you. What about how awesome you are.
Our lives are just getting closer and closer together.
Aw.
Beautiful.
I'm famous for saying I love love.
You do love love.
As long as it's for other people, I don't have time for that. But and while
of course you do.
I'm a long and proud video game non-player. Let's just say that. So I have no idea about that part of your life, but I will say that I just pulled up on the phone store just now. I'm going to install that, supporting Jamie Gray Hyder.
Well, yep. Is that one Modern Warfare?
This just says Call of Duty Mobile Season 1. Are you in that?
I don't know. I don't know which game that is. I'm not always the tech person. I can tell you how they're made. I'm not very good at playing them, although I do try.
You were in the trailer for Infinite Warfare. Or was it Infinite?
Yes.
Warfare.
Yeah. Infinite Warfare.
Because that was with is it Kit Harington? Is that?
Yep.
Is that his name? Yep.
That was Infinite Warfare, and then I did a character for some of the more recent Modern Warfare installments. I did a character named Rose, and she's an operator you can kind of have in the multiplayer, and I actually recorded that from my closet here in my apartment.
That's amazing.
During quarantine.
Technology, I'm telling you. I love it. Absolutely love it. Yeah, because you play, let's see, I'm looking at this thing. Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. You play Lieutenant Nora Salter in the newest installment of that game. Yeah, oh my gosh, that's so cool. I'm not a large video game person. I'll be the first one to say that, but
you know one.
I have like my own. I do, but I know one, and I know some folks. My husband used to do esports for National Guard, and loved it. Like there were just games that they would play together, and that was one of them. So I would hear about it all the time, more than I'd like. But I respect his hobbies.
Active population.
Yes. So I do have a question. So yay! I get so excited. Okay,
we get there eventually. So.
Yeah. That's
just talking.
We're just chatting. Jeff, God. Anyway, so my question, Jamie, is so of some of the iconic roles that you've played, whether you've been on Law and Order, SVU, or True Blood, or all of the things, even Graceland, right? What's been your favorite role that you've played up to this point? If you like the character that sticks with you, you're just like, man, that was I did good. I like that one. That was me.
Well, Call of Duty, I mean, we've talked so much about it, is a huge one for me because I know how impactful that was for to have that role as the first female lead. So that's something that's always been important. And it really opened the door to more active, advocacy with the armed forces, which is something that has become a big part of my life. I'll always have a soft spot for True Blood. That was the first real set that I really learned what I was doing on. I was scared, but everyone was so warm and so kind. And what was supposed to be a small role turned into a bigger role. And I'm just so grateful that that was my kind of learning experience on such an established show with an established network at HBO. And that will always have a, very special place in my heart. And then SVU, who gets to check that box, to be there for 2 years, to be able to, talk about my experiences with Ice and Mariska and Kelly and everyone. I feel very grateful to have witnessed all of that professionalism and greatness as well.
Oh, that's wonderful. You're like
awesome.
a sponge, Jamie.
Yeah.
You're just absorbing it all. You're giving it back.
Give me all your powers.
All of the things.
Does he let you call him Ice, or you have to call him Mr. T? Or wait, that's taken. But
Taken.
yeah,
He's Ice.
He's
Or
Ice.
Uncle Ice. I call him Uncle Ice because he always has good advice and good stories.
Aw.
I like that. That's cute. Yeah.
Again, I just love.
He doesn't hoard knowledge. I appreciate that about him. He wants to share his experience with other people.
That's awesome. Well, I'm going to go ahead and thank you for sharing your experiences with us. But before we let you go, where can people find you?
I'm on Instagram. Of all of them, I'm on Instagram most. I don't do a ton of social media, but on Instagram, I'm JG Hyder, HYDER.
Okay.
The same for Twitter. I do Twitter even less, but I do check it every now and then. I love to go back and forth with, people. If anyone has questions, if you want to reach out to me on Instagram, for instance, if you're going to send me a DM, if you just put veteran first, so that as I see, because you can't really see all the messages and a lot of them are spam. So if somebody wants to put that they're a service member or a former service member, that always helps to put that at the beginning of your message so that I can see that, so I can try and make sure to answer those. Otherwise, hopefully, if you ever see me around, say hello. If there's anything I can do for any of the veteran communities or chapters of different organizations, please don't hesitate to reach out.
I would love for you to be in the Legion family. So we're going to push that auxiliary thing. And
I love it.
And be careful when you say you'll do anything, because as I joked earlier, I do want a color change in my living room, so I can hand you a brush or a roller.
Hey.
And I'll go on vacation and expect it to be done when I get back. I don't want to be all up in your business while you do it.
No, I won't bother you. I'll pick the color. It'll be fine. Don't worry.
Oh no, you're going to pick the color?
Yeah, right. You're on vacation.
All right. Well, thanks so much. I look forward to hearing you through my phone and playing an actual video game, which is
until I'm yelling at you to do something you don't know how to do, then you're going to start hating it. Trust me. I felt that way about myself when I played Infinite Warfare.
Well, I have Ashley and Holly, so I'm well trained.
Okay.
Being yelled at.
We try. We
do something I don't
it's
want
a
to
good
do.
attempt every day. We know.
And you're lucky to have them, Jeff.
Thank you. Yes.
All right. So I want to again thank Jamie Gray Hyder for being on here and being Jamie Gray Hyder. And for the rest of you, we will see you after this break.
Join us for the 2022
100 Miles for Hope Challenge.
The Third American Legion Fitness Challenge will once again raise money for disabled veterans and military families in need.
We've made improvements to the 2022 challenge.
Monthly mini challenges,
Department versus department challenges,
and easier ways to track your miles.
and we've made it easier for friends and families to support you with donations to the Veterans and Children's Foundation.
Our goal for this campaign is to raise $450,000 for the foundation.
But we're gonna need your help. It doesn't matter if you walk,
Run,
ride,
or swim. Just get active. Support our veterans and military families. And let's show the nation that we are veterans strengthening America.
All right, and now we are back. Now, I should say that I did not obviously get to interview Jamie, and as we're recording this, I haven't heard the interview either, so you'll have heard it before me or at the same time. But I would note that she was great in The Last Ship, which if you've never watched The Last Ship, spectacular TV show. It's got Adam Baldwin, my favorite actor of all time. Adam Baldwin is
Yeah.
the
Okay. All right.
man. He is the
Always
well,
learning new things about you.
he was
Always.
he was in Firefly, and I love everyone in Firefly. Nathan Fillion and Adam Baldwin, my two favorite people. But she did seem very nice at the NatCon, and I didn't get a chance to meet her, but she seemed very, very genuine and kind.
It was so funny. I think the first time I met her was in 2019. I was like, man, I remember I stood on stage, and me being me, for anyone who saw the photos of me at this previous Supervisors of America, I had my mini ears on. Well, when I first went to Orlando in 2019, I had my mini ears on, and I had got this like vintage skater skirt dress. It was like a 1950s red. And I remember I have a photo with Jared Lyon and Jamie on stage, and I have mini ears on and like this red retro dress on. And it was just like, I was looking at my photos and I was like, I definitely have a photo with you, Jamie. I'm like, yeah.
The
It was
most
very cool.
important thing from that week, though, was that was the first time I ever really met you.
Yeah. I mean,
It turned out I had sort of met you when I went to an event at Akron, but that was the first time I ever actually.
We've never talked about the origin story. The audience needs to know. Oh, that's right. Because you came to the University of Akron when Medal of Honor recipient Kyle White came to.
Yep.
And we must have eaten at like the same table because we
had to have been because so Kyle is a sort of a buddy of mine, and we have been golfing together a couple times. And when he mentioned he was going to Akron, I was like, oh, that's drivable. I could tool out there. But it wasn't until years later I realized that you had anything to do with it. And I guess Rob was there as well.
Yeah,
one of the funnier stories I've ever heard. My favorite story was Kyle White in that thing when he was in his first firefight and he was shooting from inside a building, and he yelled to his platoon sergeant. He's like, I'm out of grenades. So the platoon sergeant pulled a bunch of grenades and threw them to him. And one of them went by and went out the door, and he didn't know what to do. So he went, chased the grenade out the door, and there was just like rounds kicking up all around his feet. And his platoon sergeant just looked at him and was like, what a dumbass. But it was very, very funny.
I remember that. I remember being in the hall, and like we had a bunch of ROTC, we had a bunch of history. We had offered like an extra credit opportunity and a learning, like, class opportunity for some of the academic folks to offer their students. And I remember telling that story, and I was like blown away. And I have photos of that. I'm gonna have to like see if you're in the background anywhere. Like, where's
would have been way in the background?
Like, where's
I generally
CB?
I stay way in the back. The only thing I had heard about
I know your MO.
before that was I had heard that you guys have great tailgates at the football games, but of course I never got invited to those. All I got invited to go see Kyle White, and I remember his platoon sergeant was the head of the.
It was I think it was Master Sergeant Patterson, Mark Patterson. He was a part of our post.
Real good dude.
He retired, I think, like maybe, gosh, it was like a year or two after that, and like he went and moved out to the Midwest, and I'm supposedly living his best life because he was in Restrepo. He was in the documentary Restrepo.
Right. Yep.
Which, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't what was the gentleman's name? The main speaker.
Oh, dude! Now I know exactly where you're going with this.
You know exactly where
Sebastian Junger.
Sebastian Junger, because he was talking about Restrepo. I go, my mind is blown right now. It was like, not only can I pinpoint somebody from that documentary, but I can also pinpoint. It was just this whole circle trifecta thing. I was like, this is such a small world. But yeah, it's crazy to think
Sebastian
that like we were at the same table together.
Yet another Massachusettsian, I should point out.
Yeah, I know you did lead with a really great. I did. Great opening.
I did.
Great opening, but then like
there
was this analogy that you did was just so perfect. I don't know where you got that from.
It was comparing Sebastian Junger's. Oh well, there was that, but there was also the Sebastian Junger's story about running down the train tracks, avoiding the police, and then I compared it to a night out with Tim Kennedy and Nick Palmachano at Ranger Up. So. Yeah.
With that being said, we're gonna move to rapid fire as much as I love
it's rapid.
Love this as rapid as one can be.
So this first one, we're going to go pretty rapid, and I'm literally going to read the title here because I have some thoughts. But Military Times article: posting POW footage on social media may constitute human rights violation. Now, this is obviously in reference to the captured Russians that are doing various interviews. Kind of, they're on there saying, we thought we were coming here for training. Like, this is a terrible war. But in my mind, this does make a good point. You're not supposed to be filming POWs to use for propaganda. What are your thoughts on this one?
Oh, I think,
like, I'm not by any means saying people shouldn't be sharing it on social media, that the international police are going to come and get you for, but like, there is kind of a point to it.
I don't know. Like, I guess it just depends on like how we, I know how we would operate, obviously, with, Geneva rules and whatnot. And there's, I think, things that we would take in consideration as unethical.
Right.
But given the extent of this, this unprovoked, just lies of a context for a war from Russia,
and the distinction to me seems to be that none of these captured Russians seem averse to talking about it. It's not like they're going up there and they're like blinking in Morse code, come save me. They seem to be pretty like willing to just say, I don't even know what I'm doing here, which, yeah.
What was it like? I'm trying to think. I think it maybe it was the Vietnam War, but I know that there were some prisoner of war circumstances where like folks didn't understand like body language or like hand sign, like, you know what I mean? Like certain gestures of the hand, stuff like that would kind of give away.
The one fingered peace symbol.
Yes. So I just think it's interesting because like, what is it? So I just want to correct me if I'm wrong here. So it says Ukrainian top law enforcement agency, the Security Service of Ukraine, shared a compilation of videos of captured Russian soldiers to its Facebook page. One of which, or compilation of videos. So a collection of videos, if you will.
I shouldn't goof on Ashley. The word she's looking for, folks, is compilation. Yes, compilation.
Compilation. You know what? I'm gonna get me a Dr. Seuss book and I'm gonna go back through them.
We're gonna. I don't think it rhymes with anything, so you might not find compilation in there.
Who knows? Hubilation? That rhymes. That's me channeling my Grinch and love of Jim Carrey playing the Grinch, but that's not the point. I just want to be clear. Like, this is Ukraine sharing videos of Russian soldiers on Facebook. I don't know. Like, what were we expecting? We live in a social world right now. Like, I feel like this is just one of those things we have to continue to navigate. Like, we don't even have full privacy and like legislation that supports how we use our social media and how they gather data, right? Like, so thinking about this in context of war, I think that's something that we're going to end up reviewing and adding some sort of clauses later on. Like, hey, no, like I
thought it was interesting. I actually thought of this the other day when I first started seeing these videos, and I was like, that arguably violates the Geneva Convention. And I guess others are agreeing, that probably violates. But again, I think there's a difference between someone willingly giving an interview about a subject that, like, the Russians that have been captured, they're not being tortured or anything, and they go to great lengths to say, we're being fed and everything else. So, I don't really have as big an issue with it. I just thought it was kind of an interesting story.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
San Diego VA Medical Center renamed after fallen U.S. Army nurse. I thought this was kind of a cool story. Jennifer Moreno was just 25 years old when she died. The Army captain and nurse was killed during a deployment to Afghanistan in 2013 while trying to help a fallen fellow soldier. She was always somebody to put others before her, said Moreno's sister, Yuritsa Cordova. I don't really have anything to add to this story, but I think it's great. Like, I'm not a big fan of just renaming things, generally speaking. Like, I get it. There's a lot of, but if you're going to rename them, this is absolutely the kind of person you need to name it after, right? I mean,
Right. Yeah. And it was legislation that was introduced by the local congressman, Mike Levin. Obviously it has to be approved, by president has to sign it into law. So, I think it's a great way to honor her service. I mean, it really is, there aren't many facilities or things named after women veterans, if we're being totally honest, so
I'm going to be perfectly frank. I didn't actually I didn't even consider the women angle, but yeah, 100%. Meanwhile, I'm basically Googling over here to find out who my VA is named after, because embarrassingly, I had no idea who it was. It's the Richard Rodebush VA, but it turns out he was the national commander of the VFW. So I guess I go to a VFW VA every time I go. But yeah, I'm all for it, naming them, especially after, people like this. I'm still waiting to step foot on Alwyn Cash Fort Cash or whatever. So we'll see. Third story here, and I honestly just included this for our own Jeff Daly, but it's an article in the Charlotte Observer, and the title says everything you need to know. Marines must, quote, stay away from all wildlife, end quote, due to rabies threat at Camp Lejeune in North Carolina. So apparently there's one rabid raccoon running around Camp Lejeune. Can you imagine a worse idea than telling a bunch of Marines, don't chase the wildlife? It's like you're challenging them.
They're like, are you telling me I can't do it? And then they're like, therefore I shall.
Right. There's 400 dudes on Camp Lejeune right now in a ghillie suit with like corn in their hands, waiting to catch a rabid raccoon, because you basically challenge them.
Painted such a beautiful portrait there. It's like
it's true.
The first giving, and they're all like trying to offer food, and there's like this raccoon calling all the shots, and you've got all these guys like, oh.
Back in the old days, I mean, I don't know if they even still do this in the Army, but when you would get leave, when you were in a place not your home base, they'd be like, whatever you do, don't go to Jim Bob's house of ecstasy or whatever. And then every guy's like, where's that located? As soon as they say don't do it, every dude in the unit's like, there's an idea. I mean,
well, maybe they'll adopt a new mascot. Who knows?
The fact that the Marines needed to put out a statement, don't chase the rabid wildlife, to me spells a problem. There's a lot of borderline past the ass fab, but maybe with a little help dudes right now hiding in the dirt, waiting to catch that rabid raccoon and be probably like, look what I got. Like
somewhere from certain parts of the country are like, oh, I could get it. I could snap. Yeah, I could do it.
And Jeff Daly would be kind of hiding behind a tree, laughing at all of them and doing absolutely nothing.
He would be so far away. He'd have like binoculars, and he'd be like, looks good, guys. Looks good.
Yeah, no, well done. Good job, guys.
I'm gonna sit over here, eat my crayon in peace. Have fun.
All right, I have actual legal work to do, but my shout out is naturally to our own Jeff Daly. We still miss you. We still need you back soon, because I can't be trusted to do this for very long. Ashley,
I second that. I second that motion. Yeah. I first and second that motion, and hereby their pass. So you have yield back your time, but I want to remind folks that they should not forget to subscribe to the Tango Alpha Lima podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you consume your podcasts. Please leave us a review and give us a big old 5-star rating so the world knows how much you love us. Please do not send us any random mascot photos of your choosing. Let's leave that to potentially bulldog or raccoon. We'll let the Marines figure that out. Anyway,
I'm trying to figure out if do not forget is a double negative.
Do not forget. Should words.
I mean, is there a get? Could you get something?
Could you?
It's like the word resign or resign. I don't like that they're spelled the same, because I'll be like, hey, Tom Brady re-signed, and everyone like, he resigned. Like, I don't like, never mind. I'm just
so let me rephrase.
No, you said it correctly. Don't
be sure to subscribe to our amazing podcast. Rate us 5 big old stars. And If you have any guest recommendations, go to legion.org/Tango Alpha Lima and click on suggest a guest link. Send us who you think we should be speaking with. If you have comments and just want to send some love into Jeff, we'd totally appreciate it. I know that he will look forward to opening those and having a big old smile on his face. But yeah.
He's texting me while we're recording this. I just want to throw that out there.
He's probably like, is Ashley doing what she's supposed to be doing?
Right.
Tell her he's always trying to micromanage me. I'm gonna red eye to Cali. It's gonna be game over. Game over.
I wish, I mean, like, I would love to go and visit Jeff, but again, he would really want to sit and talk. It's not really my strong suit.
You just want to be the standing stoic there.
Right. Sitting in the corner.
I know.
Playing a golf game on my phone and answering legal briefs.
Well,
anyway,
on that note, you can get back to your legalese, Mr. CB. Yeah. We are well wishing for Jeff and the entire Legion community. And with that being said, episode 99, mission complete.